Welcome back. Your next challenge in the 7 Caillou series is called Credit Card Mask. Usually when you buy something, you're asked whether your credit card number, phone number, or answer to your most secret question is still correct. However, since someone could look over your shoulder, you don't want that shown on your screen. Instead, we mask it. Your task is to write a function maskify, which changes all but the last 4 characters into the pound symbol. So, look at these examples, big long number, but you only display the 5616 at the end. Same thing, different length, random number, again, same ending, same last 4 digits shown. A couple more interesting cases, you have just a length of 1, so you clearly can't show 4 characters, there's not 4 to show, just show what you have if the input size is less than 4. And finally, if you get the empty string, just return the empty string. Or, yeah, we'll leave it at that. They have an example, what was the name of your first pet? Skippy, they just give you the Ippy. And I think it's clear at this point, but you can look that over or consider it all that you want. But you know what to do. Pause the video, crank this one out, and then resume when you're ready. I'm going to start by handling some of the simple cases, some edge cases. So you can imagine that I'm very much concerned with the length of this string. So before I even start dealing with that and trying to access the length property of something that might not exist, I'm just going to say if check for null. If it's null, I'm going to throw new argument exception. Input cannot be null, or whatever meaningful message you can think of. Before we get yelled at, let's bring in using system namespace there for the argument exception class. Next, so if we've made it past this point, we know that CC, the credit card, is not null. It has some content. It could be empty, it could have 2 characters, it could have 120 characters, whatever. Next case I want to handle is that other one where the input size is less than 4 and there's not 4 characters to show. And then once I handle these 2 cases, then I can just assume everything's 4 or greater in size, or greater than 4 in size. So to handle that, we will check the length. It's safe to check the length at this point. You know, you can get the length of a string. And instead of using just 4, I don't like to use so-called magic numbers. So I'm just gonna make a private static read-only integer called num chars shown. We'll set that equal to 4. And that just represents how many of these final characters should be visible, with the idea that the other characters would all be pound signs. So I'm going to replace my magic value there. So if the length is actually less than or equal, then I'll simply return the input, right? When they gave us 1, I just gave 1 back. So I'll say return CC in that case. Okay, fine. So now if we still survive, we still are in this method, we know it's not null, and we know the length is greater than 4 at this point. So I thought I'd do something that might be new to try to just show another link method. Don't recall if we've used this in the past, but it's been a while if I have. So I'm going to use enumerable repeat to sort of generate a series of pound signs in the correct number. And then the idea being that I will just take the remaining part of the string, the part that's supposed to be visible, and concatenate it on to this series of pound symbols. So to do that, I'm going to say enumerable repeat. Go over to your docs page. You could see what repeat does, generates a sequence that contains one repeated value. Perfect, right? In our case, that's going to be all pound signs. And you know you can come down here. In their case, they had strings, so they just kept repeating, I like programming like a madman 15 times. But you get the idea, right? So we can say enumerable repeat, and we want the string that I want to repeat is just the hash symbol. And then how many times do I want to repeat it? Well, it's the size of the input minus the num chars shown, right? We don't want the num chars shown. We don't want the last 4 to be pound signs. So don't start generating pound signs for characters that don't need them, right? Good. So if you want to check, you can see that repeat returns an IEnumerable of type result. We're dealing with strings in our case. That's what T result would be. So we have an IEnumerable, and we'll use that handy little var keyword that we learned about in a recent challenge. I'll just say var hashtags. You can explicitly write out the type if you like. Var hashtags equals that. So that's just a number of hashtags, right? And then, like I said, we'll take that. That'll be at the beginning of our final result string. Remember, we have to return a string with just the last 4 shown. So we'll join this with string join, right? And this is all one sequence. There's no spaces between anything, right? So I can just use empty string there. I don't want anything between each character, so that's why I'm using the empty string there. And then what do you want to join? Well, I want all those hashtags strings that I made here. I want all of them joined. So I did that. And then finally, we need the last 4, right? And we've seen this before. We've used substring. And if you give it the index, if you specify just the index, it'll start there and take the remaining characters to the end of the original string. So we'll say cc length minus num chars shown, right? And that will give us the last 4. So all hashtags here being concatenated with the last 4 visible characters. And I think that'll do it. Let's bring in system link for that repeat. But if you weren't sure what namespace to bring in, you can always check, right? System link. So that looks good. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a shot. Green. Green is golden. Good, we got the attempt too. So imagine there'll be a number of different ways to go about this. I'll go ahead and submit and get those honor points. Looks like I'm approaching 900. All right. Remember to look through other solutions. See what else you can learn. Otherwise, you know what to do. Show me how you solve this problem, or if you have questions, comments, concerns, hit me up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in another video.